2 years after the ban, the galaxy looked completely different. Council Speaker Vexitar stood in the same chamber where he had once proudly announced humanity's banishment. Now the chamber felt empty and cold, even though it was still full of alien delegates. The problem was simple. Fewer and fewer species cared what the council decided anymore. Intelligence Director Kexthun delivered his weekly report with obvious reluctance. "Sir, we have lost effective control over 43 star systems. The local populations have declared independence and joined the Human Alliance." 43? Vextar's crystal body flashed angry red. Last week it was 37. The rate of defection is accelerating, sir. The humans have offered full membership to any species that wants to join them. No waiting periods, no complex application processes, no loyalty tests. Just a simple promise to work together for mutual benefit. Vexitar turned to look out the great window of the council chamber. In the distance he could see the lights of ships coming and going. But most of them weren't council ships anymore. They were vessels from the Human Alliance doing business that the council used to control. What about our remaining member species? Are they still loyal? Kexthun's metal shell clicked nervously. Define loyal, sir. Don't play word games with me. Sir, officially, our remaining members still recognize council authority. Unofficially, most of them are conducting regular trade with human space. Some have established permanent diplomatic missions in human territory. That's against council law. Yes, sir, but they claim these are cultural exchange programs or scientific expeditions. Technically legal, but clearly designed to maintain relationships with the Human Alliance. Far from the council's troubles, Administrator Ji-hoon was having the opposite problem. His job was to manage the growth of New Seoul, the unofficial capital of human space. The problem was that growth was happening faster than anyone could manage. Sir, his assistant Da Young reported, we have 15 more species requesting full alliance membership this week. Ji-hoon looked out from his office window at the incredible sight below. New Seoul had started as a simple space station 2 years ago. Now it was a massive city station that housed over 5 million beings from 60 different species. The architecture was unlike anything seen before in the galaxy. Human engineering provided the basic structure, strong, efficient, and adaptable, but each species had added their own touches. Althari crystal gardens grew alongside human parks. Zephyrian meditation chambers floated next to human libraries. Korthak workshops sat next to Illyrian art studios. What species are applying this week? Ji-hoon asked. The Karathi, the Zelani, 3 independent Korthak clans, a group of young Althari, and the entire Novan Republic. The Novan Republic? Weren't they one of the council's founding members? They were. But their representative said they were tired of waiting 6 months for the council to approve simple trade agreements. They want to join an organization that actually gets things done. Ji-hoon nodded. This was the pattern everywhere. Species were leaving the council not because humans forced them to, but because the Human Alliance simply worked better. In the Althari territories, crystal farmer Zara Lin made a decision that shocked her entire commune. She announced that she was leaving to study human agricultural techniques. But why? Asked her commune leader. Our crystal gardens have fed our people for millions of years. And they're beautiful, Zara Lin agreed. But human farmers can grow food on worlds where our crystals can't survive. They can turn poison soil into rich earth in just months. I want to learn how to combine our techniques with theirs. The council says humans are dangerous. Zara Lin laughed. I've been studying their agricultural reports for months. Do you know what's dangerous about human farming? It's too good. They can feed more people with less land using fewer resources than anyone else in the galaxy. If that's dangerous, then I want to be dangerous too. When she left for human space, Zara Lin wasn't alone. Hundreds of young Althari went with her, all eager to learn from the species their government had banned. On the mining world of Korath Prime, Korthik engineer Threxmore faced a problem that was becoming common throughout the galaxy. His mining operation had reached a deposit that was too dangerous for standard Korthak equipment to extract. Send a message to the Human Alliance, he told his assistant. Ask if they have anyone available for a consultation. Sir, that's technically against council regulations. The council isn't here, Threxmore replied. The council can't help us extract these minerals safely. The council can't help us meet our production quotas. If they want to complain about regulations, they can come down here and do the work themselves. 3 days later, a human mining team arrived. They studied the problem for 6 hours, then proposed a solution that was so elegant it made Threxmore embarrassed that his people hadn't thought of it. We use shaped charges to fracture the rock in controlled patterns, explained team leader Sujin. Then we extract the minerals using robotic systems that can work in the radiation field. Total extraction time, 2 weeks. 0 casualties, our E. Estimates said it would take 6 months with heavy losses, Threxmore admitted. Different approaches, Sujin said politely. Would you like us to teach your people our techniques? That was the moment Threxmore understood why the council had really banned humans. It wasn't fear of human aggression, it was fear of human competence. The final blow to council authority came from an unexpected source. Quinlos, the elderly Zephyrian, who had first warned Ambassador Hyunwoo, made a public announcement that spread across the galaxy within hours. Fellow beings, he said in a broadcast that reached every civilized world, I have lived for 3,000 of your years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have watched species learn to travel the stars. I have served the Galactic Council for most of my life. But I can no longer serve an organization that fears progress more than it loves justice. The Council banned humanity not because they were dangerous, but because they represented change. The Council preferred stagnation to growth, control to cooperation, fear to hope. Today I renounce my Council citizenship and join the Terran Federation. Not because I hate my own species, but because I love the future we could all build together. The response was immediate and overwhelming. Within days, over 2 billion beings across the galaxy had requested information about joining the Human Alliance. Entire planets declared independence from Council authority. Even some Korthak mining corporations announced they were moving their operations to human space. When Ambassador Hyunwoo finally agreed to meet with Council representatives, it was not in the Great Council chamber where he had been humiliated 2 years earlier. Instead, the meeting took place on New Sol, in a simple conference room with a round table where everyone sat as equals. Vextar arrived with a small delegation, looking smaller and less impressive than Hyunwoo remembered. The crystal being, who had once boomed with authority, now spoke quietly and carefully. Ambassador Hyunwoo, Vextar began, the Council wishes to discuss the possibility of normalizing relations with the Terran Federation. I appreciate that, Hyunwoo replied. But first, let's be clear about what we're discussing. You're not talking to a small group of rebel humans anymore. The Terran Federation now includes over 100 star systems and 40 different species. We're not asking to join your club, we've built our own. We understand that. The Council is prepared to recognize the Terran Federation as a legitimate government. That's generous, but recognition isn't what we need from you. What we need is for you to understand that the galaxy has moved beyond the old system. Hyunwoo gestured to the other beings around the table. There was Admiral Da-Yoon, representing human military forces. Governor Sang-min spoke for the colonial governments. Dr. Hyejin represented the scientific community, but there were also non-humans. Quinlos for the Zephyrian refugees, Zara Lin for the young Althari, and Threxmore for the independent Korthak clans. This is what cooperation looks like, Hyunwoo continued. Not one species making decisions for everyone else, but all species working together based on what they can contribute. What would you require for formal relations? Vextar asked. Complete democratic reform of the Council. Equal representation for all species regardless of size or power. Open borders for all peaceful beings. And a commitment to actually solving galactic problems instead of just debating them. Vextar was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. Those terms would essentially require dissolving the current council and starting over. Yes, Hyunwoo agreed. That's exactly what they would require. And if we refuse? Hyunwoo smiled sadly. Then you'll continue to rule over an empty empire, while the rest of the galaxy moves forward without you. The choice is yours. As the council delegation left New Sol, Hyunwoo stood at his office window watching their ship disappear into the stars. He thought about how much had changed since that terrible day in the council chamber. The council had banned humanity to preserve their power structure. Instead, they had accidentally given humans the freedom to build something better. Now, species across the galaxy were choosing that better option one by one. Administrator Ji-hoon joined him at the window. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" Ambassador Hyun-woo sat in his new office reading a message that changed everything. The office was smaller than his old one at the council station, but it had something better. A window that looked out at stars that belonged to no government, except the one humans were building themselves. The message had come through secret channels from an old friend, Quinlos. The Zephyrian who had tried to warn him months ago had risked everything to send it. "Dear friend," the message began, "I can no longer stay silent. The vote to ban humanity was based on lies. I am sending you classified council documents that show the real reason for your banishment." Hyun-woo opened the attached files with shaking hands. What he read made him angry and sad at the same time. The first document was titled Economic Impact Analysis, Human Integration Scenarios. It was a computer study that looked at what would happen if humans joined the council. The results were shocking. Every single computer model showed the same thing. Within 50 years of joining, humans wouldn't just be members of the council, they would be running it. Not through war or conquest, but through pure competence. The study explained it in cold, scientific language. Humans were adaptive generalists, while most alien species were specialized experts. The Althari had spent millions of years perfecting crystal technology. The Korthak had become the galaxy's best miners. The Zephyrians were unmatched diplomats. But humans? Humans learned everything. Give them crystal technology, and within a generation, they would improve it. Show them mining techniques, and they would find ways to extract resources from places others had never imagined. Teach them diplomacy, and they would create new forms of government that worked better than anything the galaxy had seen. The human factor, one report concluded, represents an existential threat to current power structures. Their integration would result in complete restructuring of galactic civilization within 50 standard years. Hyun-woo leaned back in his chair. They hadn't been banned for being violent or destructive. They had been banned for being too good at everything. The second document was even more revealing. It was a memo from the Council's military advisors titled Containment Strategies for Human Expansion. The memo admitted that humans had already spread far beyond what the Council had realized. Human settlements and operations exist in over 400 star systems. It read, "Most of these are in territories the Council has declared uninhabitable or strategically worthless." But then came the important part. Military containment is not feasible. Human settlements are located in environments where Council forces cannot operate effectively. Furthermore, human technological adaptation rates suggest that any military action would only accelerate their development of defensive capabilities. In simple words, the Council couldn't stop humans by force, even if they wanted to. Hyun-woo forwarded the documents to Earth immediately. Within hours, he got a call from Director Seo-jin, head of Earth's Global Unity Council. "Hyun-woo," she said, her face appearing on his screen. "This changes everything. We've been thinking like victims when we should have been thinking like winners." "What do you mean?" "The Council did us a favor. They removed all the restrictions. That would have slowed us down. Now we can build something better than their old system." Seo-jin was right. On Earth, human scientists and engineers had been developing amazing new technologies while the diplomats tried to join the Council. Now those technologies could be used freely. Dr. Jae-sung had invented a new type of faster-than-light communication. Unlike the Council system, which required huge relay stations, Jae-sung's method could connect any 2 points in the galaxy instantly using quantum entanglement. Dr. Hae-jin had created atmospheric processors that could turn a dead world into a garden in just 5 years. The Council's terraforming took centuries. Philosopher Minji had been working on new ideas about government. Instead of the Council's rigid hierarchy where each species had one vote, she had designed a system where representation was based on contribution and cooperation. "We can connect every human settlement instantly," Seojin explained. We can terraform dozens of worlds simultaneously. We can create a government that actually works for everyone, not just the powerful species. And the aliens who want to join us, they're welcome. The more, the better. This isn't about humans ruling over aliens, it's about building something better than what came before. A year after the ban, the galaxy had changed in ways the Council never expected. Fleet Admiral Dayun commanded what had become the most effective peacekeeping force in known space. Her ships weren't the biggest or most heavily armed, but they were fast, flexible, and crewed by people who actually cared about protecting innocent civilians. When pirates attacked the peaceful Illyrian colonies, it was human ships that responded. The Council's security forces were 3 days away, and would have required weeks of paperwork before they could act. Dayun's fleet arrived in 6 hours and settled the problem in 20 minutes. When the ancient defense systems on the precursor world started malfunctioning and attacking everyone nearby, Council engineers said it would take months to study the problem safely. Human engineer Wanbin suited up and fixed it in 3 days. The funny thing, Dayun told her officers, is that we're not trying to replace the Council. We're just doing the jobs they can't or won't do. But that was exactly what was replacing them. Species after species was discovering that when they had a problem, humans solved it faster and better than the Council ever had. On the world of New Busan, Governor Sang-min had built something that amazed everyone who saw it. His city was home to over 1 million beings from 30 different species, all living and working together in harmony. The secret wasn't special technology or advanced laws. It was simpler than that. Everyone was judged by what they contributed, not what species they belonged to. A Korthak engineer worked alongside a human architect to design buildings that could withstand the planet's earthquakes. Zephyrian artists collaborated with human musicians to create new forms of art that neither species could have made alone. Even some young Althari had left their rigid crystal communes to study human approaches to technology. This is what the Council could have been, Sang-min often told visitors, if they had been more interested in cooperation than control. The most shocking development came when 3 entire Council member species announced they were leaving to join the Human Alliance. The Illyrians went first, fed up with the Council's failure to protect them from pirates. The Verdani followed, attracted by human environmental restoration techniques. Then came the surprise. A faction of Zephyrians led by Quinlos himself. The Council represents the past, Quinlos announced in a public broadcast. Rigid hierarchies, fear of change, and government by committee. The Human Alliance represents the future, cooperation, innovation, and government by merit. When Ambassador Hyun-woo received a formal message from the Council requesting renewed diplomatic discussions, he had to laugh. He was no longer sitting in a small office hoping for scraps from the Council table. He was now the head of the Terran Federation's diplomatic corps, with offices on 12 different worlds and representatives from over 40 species. The message was signed by Vextar himself. The proud Council speaker was practically begging for a meeting. Hyun-woo called together his advisory council. It included humans, Illyrians, Verdani, several reformed Zephyrians, and even a few young Korthak who had grown tired of their species' rigid traditions. What do we tell them? Asked Dr. Ji-hoon, a former Earth diplomat who now served as Hyun-woo's chief advisor. Hyun-woo looked around the room at representatives of so many different species working together as equals. A year ago, this would have been unimaginable under the Council system. We tell them the truth, he said. We're willing to talk. But any discussion has to start with them accepting some basic principles, such as equal representation for all species regardless of size or power, democratic decision-making instead of rule by committee, open borders for all peaceful beings, and most importantly, a commitment to actually solving problems instead of just talking about them. They'll never accept those terms, said Kira, one of the young Korthak. It would mean giving up everything that makes them powerful. Then they'll have to watch the galaxy move forward without them, Hyun-woo replied. As he composed his response to the Council's request, Hyun-woo thought about how much had changed. A year ago, he had stood in that huge chamber feeling small and powerless. Now he was helping to build something that made that chamber look small and powerless. The council had tried to stop human influence by banning them. Instead, they had just given humans the freedom to build something better. And now, species across the galaxy were choosing that better option. It was already too late to stop what they had started. 3 months after the ban, Vextar stood in his private office looking at reports that made no sense. The crystal walls around him pulsed with angry red light, showing his frustration. As council speaker, he was supposed to solve problems, not create bigger ones. "Explain this to me again," he said to his assistant, a nervous Korthak named Kexthun. Kexthun's metal shell clicked anxiously. "Sir, the trade routes in sectors 7 through 12 are failing. Ships are running out of fuel, because the human refueling stations have gone dark." "Good," Vextar rumbled. "That was the point of banning them." "But sir, our own ships can't use those routes anymore either. The radiation levels are too high for our fuel systems. Only human technology could work in those areas." Vextar's crystal body flashed brighter. This was not what he had expected. "What about the Althari crystal gardens?" Kexthun clicked even more nervously. "They're dying, sir. It turns out they were being fertilized with special nutrients from a human agricultural station. The Althari never knew because the humans kept it secret. They thought they were just buying regular fertilizer from an approved council supplier." "And the diplomatic missions?" "The Zephyrian embassy ships can't travel efficiently anymore. They were using human-operated refueling stations throughout their routes. Without them, their missions are taking 3 times longer." Vextar walked to his window and looked out at the space around the council station. Even here, he could see the problem starting. Ships were arriving late or not at all. Some alien species were starting to complain about supply shortages, far away from the council's troubles. Captain Yunji was having the best 3 months of her life. Her ship, the Soul's Promise, had never been busier. "Captain," her navigator Kyung-Soo called out, "we have another request from the Tenthari. They want us to carry medical supplies through the Maelstrom Nebula." Yunji smiled. The Tenthari had been some of the loudest voices calling for the human ban. Now they were paying triple rates for human ships to do jobs their own vessels couldn't handle. "What's our schedule looking like?" "Completely full for the next 2 months," Kyung-Soo replied. "We have 6 runs through radiation fields, 4 missions, to volcanic worlds, and 3 emergency supply runs to colonies that other shipping companies won't service." The truth was simple. Humans had been quietly doing all the dangerous, difficult jobs that other species couldn't or wouldn't do. Now that they were banned, those jobs weren't getting done. Yunji's ship was designed to handle extreme conditions. Her crew was trained to work in environments that would kill most aliens. When pirates attacked shipping lanes, alien crews surrendered or ran away. Human crews fought back, and usually won. "Captain," her communications officer Minho called out, "I'm getting a private message from a Korthak mining company. They want to hire us for a job on Sulfur Prime." "Isn't that the world their own crews declared too dangerous to work on?" "That's the one. High heat, toxic atmosphere, unstable ground. They say they'll pay us 10 times the normal rate." Hyunji laughed. "Tell them we'll take the job, but they have to pick up the cargo themselves. We're not making deliveries to council space anymore." On the frontier world of New Jeju, Young-ho was surprised to see a Korthak trade delegation landing at his small spaceport. The Korthak were known for following council rules very strictly. Seeing them here was like seeing a police officer at an illegal street race. The lead Korthak, a large being named Threxmar, approached Young-ho nervously. His metal shell was polished to a mirror shine, but his movements were uncertain. "Human. Young-ho," Threxmar said formally, "we wish to discuss business opportunities. I thought we were banned from trading with council species. This would be unofficial business," Threxmar replied carefully. "We represent private companies, not the council government." Young-ho led them to his office in the colony's main building. Through the windows they could see human colonists working in fields that had been barren rock just 2 years ago. Children played in parks where nothing had grown before. The air was clean and fresh. "What kind of business?" Young-ho asked. Threxmar looked uncomfortable. We require your unique approach to resource extraction. Our methods are insufficient for hostile environments. Young Ho understood. The Korthak were admitting that humans were better at something than they were. This was a species that took great pride in their mining abilities. Which environments specifically? High radiation worlds, planets with unstable geology, worlds with toxic atmospheres. Threxmar paused. Basically, any world that our workers cannot safely operate on. And in exchange, we would provide rare metals and crystals that your colonies need. Unofficially, of course. Young Ho nodded. Of course, after the Korthak delegation left, Young Ho called together the colony's council. They met in a simple building made from local stone and human engineering. They're scared, said Hyejin, the colony's head scientist. The council banned us because they thought we were dangerous. Now they're finding out that we were actually useful. More than useful, added Wanbin, their chief engineer. We were essential. They just didn't realize it because we made everything look easy. Young Ho looked around the room at his fellow colonists. They had come to this world when it was nothing but rock and dust. Now it was home to 5,000 people from a dozen different species. Humans had built the basic infrastructure, but aliens had added their own technologies and cultures. The irony is perfect, said older colonist Sang Min. They banned us for being too adaptable and too willing to take risks. But those are exactly the qualities that make us valuable. What do we do about trade requests from council species? Hyejin asked. Young Ho thought for a moment. We trade with anyone who comes in peace, council member or not. If they want to do business with humans, they can come to human space. But what about the ban? What about it? We're not in council space anymore. Out here, we make our own rules. As if to prove his point, Minho came running into the meeting room. Sir, we have 3 more delegations requesting landing permission. 1 Althari, 1 Zephyrian, and 1 I don't recognize. All wanting to trade? All wanting to trade. And sir, the Althari delegation is being led by a council sub-minister. This isn't just private business anymore. Young Ho smiled. The council had wanted to get rid of humans to protect their power structure. Instead, they had accidentally created something they feared even more. A growing network of human-controlled space where aliens came to get things done. Tell them they're all welcome, Young Ho said. But they follow our rules while they're here. No council authority, no special privileges, everyone is equal. As the delegations landed and began setting up meetings, Young Ho realized something important. The council had spent so much time worrying about humans joining their civilization that they never considered what would happen if humans built their own civilization instead, and they were building it with all the species that the council had ignored, oppressed, or failed to help. Every alien who felt unheard by the council, every species that couldn't compete in the rigid council hierarchy, every group that wanted something better, they were all finding their way to human space. The ban wasn't containing humanity. It was creating an alternative to the council itself. Dr. So Young was looking at something amazing when the message came in. Under her microscope was a tiny creature that could eat poison and turn it into clean water. She had found it in the purple soil of Kepler 442b, a planet far from Earth where everything was strange and wonderful. Doctor, Taemin called out from across the research lab, you need to see this message right away. So Young looked up from her microscope. Taemin was her research assistant, a young man who was very good at finding new forms of life. He looked worried. What is it? She asked. It's from Earth Command, official priority message. So Young walked over to the communication station. The message was short but clear. All humans must withdraw from Council space immediately. The Galactic Council has banned our species. You have 30 days to pack up and leave. This is not optional. She read it 3 times before the words really sank in. Banned? How could they be banned? This has to be a mistake, Taemin said. We've been working here for 2 years. We haven't done anything wrong. So Young looked around their small research station. They had built it themselves on this beautiful world. The local plants grew in amazing colors, purple, silver, and bright orange. The air smelled like flowers and rain. Small flying creatures that looked like living jewels darted between the trees. Most importantly, they were doing good work here. So Young had discovered 17 new species that could help clean up pollution. Taemin had found plants that could grow in almost any soil. Their research could help make dead worlds come alive again. Jinho. So Young called to their communications expert. Can you find out what's happening? Try to contact other human stations. Jinho was a quiet man who could make their radio equipment do amazing things. His fingers flew over the controls. After a few minutes, he looked up with a strange expression on his face. Doctor, I'm getting withdrawal orders from 17 different star systems. But here's the weird part. Most of the human stations aren't answering the recall messages. What do you mean? I mean they're ignoring the orders to come home. Some of them aren't even responding to Earth Command anymore. So, Young frowned. That didn't sound like the humans she knew. They were usually very good at following orders, especially important ones from Earth. Can you contact any of them directly? Let me try. Jinho worked for another hour. Finally, he managed to reach a mining station on a world called Titan 7D. Face that appeared on their screen belonged to Dong Hyun, a mining engineer So Young had met once at a conference on Earth. He looked tired but determined. So Young, good to see you, Dong Hyun said. I guess you got the recall order too? Yes. Are you packing up to leave? Dong Hyun laughed, but it wasn't a happy sound. Leave? Do you know what we've built here? This mine produces metals that no other species can extract safely. The conditions here would kill most aliens in minutes, but humans? We figured out how to not just survive, but thrive. But the council banned us. We have to follow their rules. Do we? Dong Hyun asked. Think about it, So Young. Who's going to make us leave? The council security forces can't operate in the environments where we work. They need environmental suits and special equipment. We just need basic protection. Before So Young could answer, Jinho got another signal. This time it was from Nari, a pilot who ran a refueling station near a gas giant called Helix Prime. Hey, there, Nari said cheerfully. I'm guessing you're all confused about these recall orders too. You're not leaving either? So Young asked. Can't leave, Nari replied. Do you know how many alien ships stop here for fuel every day? Hundreds. They can't refuel at their own stations because their technology can't handle the radiation from this gas giant. But human equipment works just fine. What did you tell them about the ban? Nari grinned. I told them that politics is politics, but business is business. They still need fuel, and I'm still here to provide it. Some of them seemed relieved that I wasn't leaving. Jinho managed to contact more human outposts. Each one had a similar story. On the farming world of New Eden, Kiwoo had turned a barren planet into a garden. His crops now fed 3 different alien colonies. On the research station orbiting the dangerous star Prometheus, human scientists were studying energy patterns that other species were too scared to get close to. It's like we've spread everywhere without anyone noticing, Taemin said. So Young was starting to understand something important. While Earth's diplomats had been trying to get permission to join the council, regular humans had been quietly going out and doing what humans did best, finding ways to live and work in places where others couldn't. Jinho, can you get me a complete list of all human operations outside Earth's solar system? It took him most of the day, but the list was shocking. There were human mining operations on worlds too hot for most aliens. Human research stations studying phenomena too dangerous for other species. Human trading posts in star systems so remote that the council had never bothered to claim them. Human colonies on planets that other species had declared uninhabitable. There are over 300 human operations outside our home system, Jinho reported. Most of them aren't even on the council's official maps. So Young sat down hard in her chair. 300? How did we spread out so far without anyone noticing? I think I know, Taemin said quietly. Remember when we first arrived here? The council survey team had marked this planet as suitable for research but high environmental hazards. They said the soil was too acidic and the local bacteria were too aggressive for most species. But we had no problems at all, So Young remembered. Exactly. What's dangerous for them is just another day's work for us. So Young walked outside the research station. The alien sunset painted the sky in colors that had no names. In the distance, she could see the lights of their automated mining equipment. It was extracting rare minerals from soil that would burn through most alien equipment in hours. She thought about Earth. Beautiful, blue Earth with its familiar yellow sun and normal gravity. She loved her home world. But this place had become home too. She had learned to love the purple sunrises and the singing flowers and the way the ground sparkled after it rained. More importantly, her work here was just getting started. The pollution-eating bacteria she had discovered could clean up environmental damage on dozens of worlds. The soil-improving plants could help feed billions of people across the galaxy. Jin-Ho, she called out, send a message back to Earth Command. What? Should I tell them? So Young looked up at the alien stars. Somewhere out there, the Council thought they had just solved the human problem by banning them. They had no idea that humans were already everywhere, doing jobs that needed to be done, solving problems that other species couldn't handle. Tell them we're staying, she said. Tell them that the Council's ban doesn't matter out here. We're not in Council space anymore. We're in human space. We just didn't realize it yet. As if to prove her point, Jin-Ho's radio crackled with an incoming message. It was from a Korthok trading ship requesting permission to land and trade for some of the rare minerals they had mined. What should I tell them? Jin-Ho asked. So Young smiled. Tell them they're welcome here. Politics is politics, but good business is good business. The Korthok had voted to ban humans just days ago. Now they were asking for human help. So Young was starting to think the Council had made a very big mistake. Hyunwoo stood in the huge chamber and felt very small. The walls went up so high he could not see the top. Thousands of alien beings sat in rows around him. Some looked like giant insects with shiny shells. Others were made of what looked like living crystal that sparkled in the light. A few were just floating clouds of gas that somehow could talk. He had been waiting for this day for 3 long years. Earth had sent him to ask if humans could join the Galactic Council. The Council was like a big club for all the smart alien races in the galaxy. If you were in the Council, you could trade with other worlds. You could travel anywhere you wanted. You got protection from pirates and bad aliens. Most important of all, you got to share knowledge with races that had been traveling the stars for thousands of years. Hyunwoo wore his best blue suit. The Earth flag patch on his shoulder felt heavy. He carried a small bag with gifts from Earth, music, art, and stories that showed the best of humanity. He had practiced his speech so many times he could say it in his sleep. But now, looking at all these strange faces staring down at him, he felt his confidence slip away like water through his fingers. A deep voice filled the chamber. It came from a creature that looked like a walking mountain made of purple crystals. This was Vextar, the Council speaker. When he talked, his whole body rang like a giant bell. Human Ambassador Hyunwoo, Vextar said, you have come to ask if your species can join our council. Yes, honored speaker, Hyunwoo replied. His voice sounded tiny in the huge space. Humanity offers friendship, knowledge, and peaceful cooperation to all council members. A sound like grinding rocks came from somewhere in the crowd. Hyunwoo realized it was laughter, not the good kind. Vextar's crystal body flashed brighter. We have studied your species for many years, human. We have watched your wars. We have seen how you treat your own planet. We have observed how you solve problems. Hyunwoo felt his heart start to beat faster. This did not sound good. Your species fights too much, said a voice from the left. It came from something that looked like a giant spider made of metal. You have had over 200 wars in just the last century. You destroy your environment, added another voice. This one came from a floating jellyfish-like creature. You cut down forests. You poison your oceans. You change the very air you breathe. You are unpredictable, said a third voice. You make decisions based on emotions instead of logic. This makes you dangerous. More voices joined in. They all said the same things in different ways. Humans were violent. Humans were destructive. Humans could not be trusted. Hyunwoo tried to speak up. But we have also created beautiful art. We have music and poetry. We have learned to work together. We ended slavery. We built hospitals and schools. Silence. Vextar's voice boomed through the chamber like thunder. We have made our decision. The chamber became so quiet that Hyunwoo could hear his own breathing. He could feel thousands of alien eyes watching him. The Galactic Council has voted, Vextar announced. The motion to ban humanity from all Council territories has passed. 847 votes in favor. 0 votes against. The words hit Hyunwoo like a physical blow. Ban? Not just rejected. Banned. The chamber exploded with noise. Aliens clicked, chirped, buzzed, and made sounds that had no names. They were celebrating. They were happy that humans had been banned. Furthermore, Vextar continued when the noise died down, all humans currently in Council space have 30 standard days to leave. Any human found in Council territory after that time will be arrested and deported back to Earth. Hyunwoo felt numb. This was worse than his worst nightmares. He had expected maybe a no or a try again later. But a complete ban? He thought of all the human scientists working on alien worlds. He thought of the human traders who had built good relationships with alien merchants. He thought of the human explorers mapping new star systems with Council permission. All of that was over now. You may go, human, Vextar said. Return to your world. Tell your people that they are not welcome among civilized species. Hyunwoo turned to leave. His legs felt like they were made of lead. As he walked toward the exit, he heard the aliens talking excitedly among themselves. Some were already making plans for how to divide up the territories that humans would have to abandon. Just as he reached the big doors, something touched his arm. He looked up to see an alien he had never seen before. This one looked almost like a human, but his skin was see-through like glass. Hyunwoo could see the alien's heart beating inside his chest. This was a Zephyrian. Young human, the alien whispered. His voice was soft and kind. My name is Quinlos. I am very old, even by my people's standards. I have seen many species rise and fall. Hyunwoo stopped walking. Why are you talking to me? Your people just voted to ban mine. Quinlos looked around carefully to make sure no one was listening. I did vote to ban you, yes, but not for the reasons the others think. I don't understand. The old Zephyrian's transparent face looked sad. The Council fears your people, human, but they do not understand what they really fear. They think we're violent and destructive, Hyunwoo said bitterly. No, Quinlos shook his head. That is what they tell themselves. The truth is much more frightening to them. What truth? Quinlos was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was even quieter than before. Young human, you do not understand what your people have already accomplished. The Council does not fear what humanity might become. They fear what you already are. I don't know what you mean. Think, human. In just 200 years, your species went from riding animals to traveling between stars. You went from sending messages with smoke signals to talking instantly across vast distances. No other species has ever changed so fast. Hyunwoo frowned. But other species are much more advanced than us. You have technologies we can't even understand. Yes. Quinlos nodded. We are more advanced, but we took thousands of years to get here. Some of us took millions of years. You did it in an eye blink. So the Council ran computer models. They wanted to see what would happen if humans joined us. Every single model showed the same result. What result? Quinlos looked directly into Hyunwoo's eyes. In 50 years, humans would not just be members of the Council. You would be leading it. Your species does not just adapt to new situations. You change everything around you to work better. You do not accept limits. You find ways around every obstacle. Hyunwoo felt confused. But that sounds like good things. For the galaxy, yes. For the current Council members? Quinlos shook his head. They would lose their power. They would no longer be the most important species. That terrifies them. Before Hyunwoo could ask more questions, Quinlos stepped back. Other aliens were starting to notice their conversation. "Go now, young human," Quinlos whispered. "Return to your people. Tell them what I have told you. The Council has made a great mistake today, but perhaps it is not too late to fix it." The old Zephyrian melted back into the crowd of aliens. Hyunwoo stood there for a moment, trying to understand everything he had just heard. Then he turned and walked out of the chamber. As the great doors closed behind him, Hyunwoo realized something. The Council thought they had just solved a problem by banning humans. But maybe, just maybe, they had just created a much bigger one.